Hello and welcome to Our Dark Materials, a recap podcast of the BBC/HBO production of His Dark Materials. I'm James, and my demon this week would be a goose, but I don't know their name because they're kind of an asshole. And with me tonight is my co-host, Josie.
Hi, I am Josie, and this week my demon would be in the form of a unicorn, but he's an asshole and won't let me ride him.
So our demons have that in common.
Yes.
Meaning we're both assholes as well.
Yes.
Okay. So earlier this week, we had the very first episode of His Dark Materials.
Yeah.
On HBO. That's what we're watching it on. Mm-hmm. So Monday nights. And we got to watch the first episode called Lyra's College.
Lyra's Jordan.
Lyra's Jordan. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
She's not old enough to go to college yet. Why don't you summarize the episode for us?
All right, so we start off long ago when Lord Asriel is bringing Lyra to the Jordan College as a baby during the Great Flood.
So long ago, in a time far, far away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on another world. Even.
World far, far away.
He claims scholastic sanctuary and then promptly leaves. We get the credits, roll credits, or is that after? I can't remember now.
It's after.
So 12 years later, Lyra and Roger are introduced as older children. They have a foot race through the college. They get to meet Mrs. Woodbridge. They end up in the crypts where they talk about their demons settling and what happens to them when they die.
Kind of the first philosophical question brought up. That's kind of a running theme.
Yeah. Then we move over to Asriel. He's in the north taking one last photo of the aurora before he has to rush inside to get away from a storm. They look at the photo and react positively.
Behold the aurora.
He says that they will leave after the storm.
Because, let the storm blow itself out. It's like a child having a tantrum. Or me having a tantrum. Just let it work itself out.
Just give it 5 minutes.
Just give it 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years. However long it takes.
Then we have Lyra in class with the librarian. He's reading a Bible passage. Pan notes that Lord Asriel is there, so she distracts the librarian so she can run after her uncle. She is about to enter the retiring room through the window when the master comes in. And she sees the master and the servant bringing some wine. He sends the servant away, and then he puts some powder in the wine.
So I think not the master, but the other servant's name is not the name, but I think his title is the porter.
Yeah, I think you're right because he's specifically there for the wine.
Yeah. So there's a thing in the book that it's the porter versus the butler, and how they have a long-standing feud or tradition.
That's true.
But yeah, it's interesting that the master has the porter with him.
Yeah. The master then quickly leaves. Lord Asriel comes in through another door and is working to set up. And he's told about the wine by the porter. When he's about to drink the wine, Lyra rushes in and knocks the glass from his hand, breaking it. After nearly breaking Lyra's arm, he knocks the wine over and starts searching around the room for a place to hide Lyra, as she yells at him for destroying evidence.
Yeah, I don't care if it's your niece or just a random girl. You don't that's child abuse.
He slams her head against the table.
Ultimate Fight Club moves her.
Yeah.
Arm, head, table. Somebody sign him up for WWE or something.
So he then tells Lyra that she needs to spy for him and pay attention to the master anytime he mentions the word dust. Lyra is then hidden in a cupboard. The master comes in and Asriel comments that he accidentally knocked over the wine. And then the rest of the scholars start to come in and the meeting starts.
Oh, I'm such a drunk. How clumsy of me.
I didn't even drink any wine and I'm so clumsy.
I'm so clumsy.
So Azrael then tells them, after being introduced, that is, Azrael then tells them that he wasn't actually going north for a diplomatic meeting to the King of Lapland, who I think he's only mentioned like this one time.
I think it's a throwaway character, yeah.
Yeah. A year ago. He's been gone for a whole year.
One whole year.
His real mission was to discover what had happened to the Grumman expedition.
Oh, the sneaky Stannis Grumman.
He then shows them 2 photos. First one is of an adult and a child, and then the second one is of the Aurora. He also shows them the same photos, but with different emulsions where they can see dust.
His special non-silver emulsion that he developed himself.
Oh,
Actually, we saw his
his
butler
Arctic
develop them,
laboratory.
His laboratory.
His manservant.
Manservant.
They all get their special names.
Yes.
So he has made that. In the first one, the dust is attracted to the adult, but not the child. And in the Aurora Borealis, you can see another city.
A city in the sky.
He talks about how the Magisterium killed Grumman, and he has proof. He then pulls out the ice block and says it's Grumman's head.
An ice block, which he already prematurely pulled out of, like, freezing.
Yeah, it was funny how he, like, pulls it out of one ice box while they're
Just
in the
to put
north
it in, like, the portable
to put it in
cooler.
another one, and then we'll wait out the storm.
Well, he's got to keep his 6-pack cold somehow.
It was taking up all the room.
His bruise with
Can't
his
have
boy.
it next to the decapitated head.
Yeah.
He then implores them to give him more money to continue his research.
Money, please.
We go to another scene where a boy named Tony Costa is moving through a crowd as he collects metal in a small crucible. He brings it to the front where they pour molten metal to make him a ring. They are celebrating his demon settling into a single form, a hawk, and it's like a coming-of-age ceremony.
Yeah, so this is kind of the first introduction of the settling of the demon, the demon just doesn't change forms anymore. This is what they are, and it's kind of a look into who you are as a person as well.
Yeah.
And it's really beautiful that the Egyptians have the ceremony for it.
Yeah, this scene's definitely not in the books, but I liked it.
It's cool seeing the Egyptian bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly what it is. After the ceremony, Ma Costa says, "I'm losing my little boy," and then chides Tony for not being nicer to his little brother Billy and sends him off to find him. We see Billy walking down an empty street, and we hear a whistle, and then we see a fox or a jackal demon.
I'm going to maintain that it might be a jackal, just because it would be an interesting tie-in.
Okay.
For one of the alternate series books, not alternate series, but like the second series of books in this trilogy. Mm-hmm. That it would be really interesting to bring in a character from one of those books in this way.
That would be interesting. I'm going to continue to call it a fox demon because that is what they call it in the show.
Go for it. Okay. I'm just going to hold on to my crackpot theory.
No, you do that. We then see Billy being kidnapped. Back to Azrael in the retiring room, he drags Lyra out of the cupboard and carries her to bed. You can see that she's drawn on her wall, showing that she wants to travel north with her uncle. They talk about dust, and Azrael tells her that she's better off not knowing things yet, and he won't let her see the frozen head anymore.
Cool uncle's not cool anymore.
Right. And then he ignores her request to go to the north again.
Also, straight up the fact that he puts the feet down on the pillow. I mean, I guess in the north, feet go on the pillow, but here in the south,
it's not how you put a child
pillow
to
goes
bed.
under the head.
Then we get to see the master and the librarian talking about the failed poisoning. They discuss Lyra's destiny, saying that she must follow it without knowing.
Like all destinies.
The master reveals that Lyra will betray someone, and it will be terrible.
How terrible.
We then switch to the morning when Roger brings her breakfast. They talk about dust briefly before Roger tells her that Billy Costa is missing and the gobblers must have done it. She is skeptical.
Where are the gobblers?
He then tells her that her uncle is leaving. They run outside to catch him. Lyra runs onto the airship to confront her uncle, but he's busy packing up and tells her that he'll see her when he comes back. And then says, "I am sorry, but I just don't have time for you right now."
Poignant. Very poignant. Also, I'd like to point out that Roger, the kid who plays Roger, he's not a guy yet. He's a kid. The kid playing Roger in this scene really doing some great background work. He is getting blown all over the place and not looking bored at all.
Lyra then asks Lord Asriel if the airship is the same type that her parents died in, and he says no, it was smaller. Roger tells Asriel that Lyra is special.
We're all special.
Just like the dumbest line.
We all float in balloons.
That's bad.
Yeah.
The Egyptians have a search party looking for Billy, Lord Fa, and Fardacorum, although they do not say Fardacorum's name, arrive and declare that the gobblers have taken Billy and that 16 other Egyptian children are all taken the same way.
No, Billy hasn't been taken. He's just lost.
Like he doesn't know his way around town.
Yeah. Maybe the idea that he's been kidnapped would be more cognitive or more like...
It just makes it more real, I guess.
I guess, but him not coming home at night also makes it pretty fucking real.
Yeah. They tell Ma Costa, actually no, they tell Tony that if they can't find him soon, that they will leave for London because they are pretty sure that's where they're taking all the children.
They have their information.
Roger and Lyra have a small talk about traveling north. Then we switch to the Magisterium, where Lord Boreal and Father MacPhail, who is also not named...
Super fail.
I know. Talk about Lord Asriel's meeting. He reveals that there was another world. The scholars have funded his research, blah, blah, blah. We all know this. Mm-hmm. The father tells Lord Boreal to keep it secret and also to keep discover all that he can, and don't tell their friends, especially her.
Who is her?
Mrs. Coulter.
Oh, that's quite the discussion to have in a Mormon temple.
It looks just like one. Mrs. Coulter is at the Jordan College. She heads into the dining hall where the master introduces her to Lyra, where Lyra is immediately smitten, so much so that she does not acknowledge Roger talking to her.
Oh, how unfortunate.
After dinner, Mrs. Coulter and Lyra walk through the college, talking about her explorations. Mrs. Coulter invites Lyra to go with her as her assistant. Lyra is excited to go north, but Mrs. Coulter tells her that they have to go to London first. She insists that she has to bring Roger with her. With a little pushback, Mrs. Coulter agrees.
I mean, why not? It's free labor.
Yeah, it's exactly what it would be. Roger is working when we see a fox demon stalking him.
Ooh.
Then we switch to Ma Costa and Tony on the river. It is clear they have not found Billy.
Billy, my boy.
The next morning, the librarian wakes Lyra and takes her to the master. This is where he tells her that he made a promise to protect her and that from anyone that might do her harm. He warns her that she needs to be diligent and protect herself. He gives her the alethiometer.
Ooh.
And tells her to keep it secret.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Lyra then looks for Roger, mirroring their foot race at the beginning of the episode, ending down in the crypts. She cannot find him.
From the rooftops to the crypts.
The Egyptians set off for London. Lyra runs into Mrs. Coulter and explains that she can't find Roger and the gobblers must have him. Mrs. Coulter shushes her and says that the gobblers are real and that she promises that she will get him back for her.
So we have acknowledgement from an adult that the gobblers do exist.
Not just the Egyptians.
Not just the Egyptians who are superstitious and stereotypical?
I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
So then she rushes off to her room and tries to talk to the alethiometer like an old person.
And maybe if I shout at this louder, it will actually work. Computer.
Then she rushes off to the airship to leave with Mrs. Coulter. On the airship, Mrs. Coulter shushes Lyra when she tries to talk about saving Roger, and...
Airships are not safe places. We've learned this about her parents being dead and from an airship accident.
Yes.
So no airship is safe in any way, shape, or form.
But Lyra's on one now.
Yeah.
Then she says, "We're together now. We have plenty of time to discuss whatever you wish."
Kind of paralleling Lord Asriel, I don't have time for you.
Mm-hmm.
She has all the time for her now.
Mrs. Coulter does. Lyra fidgets with the alethiometer in her pocket. Both Mrs. Coulter and her monkey demon notice. She then looks out the window and notices that the Egyptians are leaving as well.
The Egyptians are going to London too.
Yes, and that is the end of the episode.
That is the first episode. So now we're going to be moving into the section that we're going to be calling We Check Our Alethiometer. That's a weird title for it. Basically, we're just going to refer to it as we're going to go check our alethiometer, where we discuss the parallels of the book, the changes from the book, and kind of what to expect in the forthcoming episodes. Not 4, but 7 coming episodes. Forthcoming episodes, 7 episodes. And if you haven't read the books or you don't want to enjoy this part of the discussion and our conversation about it, feel free to drop out now. No hard feelings.
Sorry, the non-spoiler section was short. I will get better at summarizing.
You did great. But if you want to stick with us. If you want to stick with us, then we're going to be discussing kind of some major changes and some plot issues that could be arising. But if you are taking off, check out our podcast network that we work on.
Oh, yes. We are a part of the Hello Sweetie Podcast Network. You can check out other awesome podcasts like ours at hellosweetiepodcastnetwork.com. You will be able to find my other podcast, which is called Petticoat Lane, where Crystal, my co-host, and I talk about vaginas.
And you can also check out the namesake of the network, the Hello Sweetie Podcast Network, that both Josie and I work on. We are not people on it, but we do behind the scenes stuff for them. Just a couple of gal palling around, talking about nerdy shit and all of that. Not even gal palling, but just a couple of gals.
They're nerds. They talk about nerdy stuff.
They talk about nerdy stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But there's also a lot of other
and geek parenting and rebootleggers
is
and
hilarious,
a lot of other ones.
And a lot of other ones. But feel free to check them out. There should be a link on the website somewhere. But
let's go and check the alethiometer.
Let's go check our alethiometer. We don't need no fucking books for this either. Well, we've already studied the books.
Yes, we have.
Hello, sweetie.
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hello, little boys, little toys.
And a bunch of a-holes.
Guess who's back? Back again. Sweetie's back. Tell a friend. That's right. Hello, Sweetie Podcast is returning with brand new episodes starting August of 2019.
That's right. You heard that correctly. You can hear us talk about so many things like tiny hats, thimbles, turtles, your mom's house, the internet,
Tiny dogs.
a game you play on your TV,
Tiny dogs wearing tiny hats. Little books.
cigarettes.
Lots of small things.
What's with the small things? Talking about the news in the movies,
TV,
the comic bookses, music, video gameses,
science, and more.
Find us everywhere you found us before. Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, the internet, and Google Play.
World's Backest Podcast.
So, this opening scene is actually from the side series called The Book of Dust that has 2 of the 3 books out already.
Yeah.
This is one of the last scenes from the first book called The Belle Sauvage, where Lyra as a baby is being flown from Lord Asriel's manor in London to Jordan College. And we're missing 2 important people from that scene that are in the book. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they're important, I won't go too far into it, but they do kind of show up within this series. They're people that are kind of necessary to the raising of Lyra at Jordan College. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to see that they're kind of just pushed off to the side, and if there's an adaptation of The Book of Dust, how are they going to work that in?
Right. Especially because you mentioned that like one of them turns out to be a character that has a little bit more to do. Are we going to talk about that, or are we staying away from that now?
I'm going to stay away from that now.
Okay.
But it really expands one of the characters that we've already met in this episode.
Okay.
And it's kind of like fleshes them out a bit more.
Yeah.
Which is really neat to see for a character that you're just kind of like, well, that's shitty treatment of him.
Right.
But yeah.
After that, I thought it was interesting that they decided to not talk about how the child in the pictures of dust, I'm like really jumping forward.
Oh, how they didn't ask if like, is it a Seva child or anything
Yeah.
like that? They didn't really want to blow that.
Or anything about like it being a whole child either. Because they don't really explain it this part in the book either. You're just like, what's a severed child?
But I think that's going to be a bit more of a oh shit moment later on when we get up to where all those kids are being held up north.
Yes.
Spoilers in the spoiler section.
I was gonna say we're being weirdly like non-spoilery in a spoiler
we don't wanna,
section.
Spoil everything, but like we know what's coming on specific things.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like with the character Billy and
Yeah.
Ratter, so they've kind
They've
of
combined some characters.
taken two characters and made them one, and it really is worrisome knowing one of those characters doesn't have a good outcome, but the other character does.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, oh shit, which direction are they going to go with this?
Yeah.
But Billy, who's Tony's little brother, with his...
And I think the reason why is because the other character's name is also Tony. They do
Yeah.
have two Tonys.
Tony
And when it
1,
comes
Tony
to
2.
like a movie or a TV show, they kind of try to stay away from like double named people.
Yeah, but they could have had like unnamed kid with the demon named Ratter
That's true.
type thing, because he does play an important but small part.
So yeah, it's Tony. Oh shoot, I had his name.
Billy?
No, Tony. Oh, I can't remember his name. It starts with an M in the book. The boy with with Ratter. Him and Billy Costa are now one character.
Yeah.
I do think that it's going to be very interesting seeing which one they kind of end up following a little bit more. As you said, one of them has kind of a bad outcome and one of them has kind of a good outcome.
I'm afraid they're going to do the bad outcome, because that bad outcome is needed for a lot of understanding about how truly terrible the General Oblation Board is with how they treat children,
Yeah,
aka the Gobblers.
this is true. Oh, they also don't mention Groomer's head having a hole or it being scalped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really mention the Tartars until it's Mrs. Coulter that brings
That's
up
right.
that she's fought against Tartars. But
Yeah.
in the books, yeah, it's believed that Stannis Grupin was
Killed by the Tartars.
killed by the Tartars, and that's kind of a detective plotline that goes on. That since they're not going to touch on that, that's like they find out that no, Stannis Grupin was like an honorary tribesman, and
Well, that you choose to spoil.
well, because what are they going to do?
Yeah,
How are
true.
they going to work that in?
I'm sure they'll work
If
him
they
in.
didn't work in the tryptophan or treptin or whatever, the putting the hole in the head
For like religious
for
reasons.
religious reasons, then I don't really
or
think they're.
spiritual reasons.
I don't think they're going to be really touching on Stannis Grupin a whole lot in that sense. He's just
Yeah.
going to be a throwaway name of, oh yeah, I heard of him. Whatever happened to him? Oh, he's dead now? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I also thought it was really interesting that they had Mrs. Coulter actually. Well, one, the fact that instead of Roger just being kidnapped and her forgetting about him because she's so excited about Mrs. Coulter, that she insists that Roger comes with her, and that Mrs. Coulter like agrees with it, and then when he's kidnapped, she brings it up, and that she actually like agrees to it, and then says that the Gobblers are real.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I'm gonna like that. It really depends on how they have it play out.
I think they're doing a really good job of playing the whole Lord Asriel, her uncle. Not her uncle, by the way, but her uncle.
Weird things that you choose to spoil.
Okay, well, Lord Asriel, her uncle, is too busy for her, but this new kind of matronly figure in Lyra's life who swoops in and
Matronly. Motherly is what you mean.
yeah, either or, it works. Who swoops in and has all the time for Lyra and all of that. That's kind of an interesting juxtaposition of the one who has been caring for her, albeit not well, not great, because in a selfish way, he's just been...
He hasn't been caring for her at all. He just left her at the school.
I think the fact that he drops her off at the school and comes to visit, for the most part, it is implied that he does visit her every now and then.
Yeah, like once a year.
Once a year, but that's still better than...
If she's 12, it means she's seen him 12 times.
12 times. One cool thing I'd like to point out is that Lord Asriel, his demon is settled in the form of a snow leopard.
Oh, yes.
Which is pretty, not obvious, but it's like, okay, that's some type of exotic cat that does well in the cold. And Mrs. Coulter, her demon has settled in the form of an Arctic monkey.
Is
and
it
if you
an
look
Arctic
up,
monkey?
if you look up Arctic monkey, pulling up Google right now,
Yeah.
not the Arctic monkeys. Okay, maybe snow monkey. Her demon is in the form of a snow monkey with the little red face, and her demon has golden hair. But these monkeys are more kind of a sandy blonde.
Yeah, instead of like golden. But then, to be fair, her demon monkey, honestly, is only ish golden.
Yeah, but she is referred to as the woman with the golden monkey.
This is true.
But the little red face is very much a Arctic monkey, snow monkey.
That is actually cool. They're
Yeah,
both
it's
like
a-
kind of snow animals, exotic snow animals.
Yeah, it's a cool little Easter egg of like they're doing all of their stuff up in the north. So of course their demons are going to settle in more of a northern hospitable, northern hospitable type creature that's going to thrive and enjoy that cold.
Yeah. And then the fact that like their demons obviously had to have settled well before that. And this storyline is like heavy on people's destinies and stuff. So I wonder if it's like one of those, it was their destiny to like travel north and introduce Lyra to this whole journey.
Ooh.
So that's why their demons settled in that way rather than just being kind of the normal stuff.
A regular monkey and a regular large cat or something.
Yeah.
Because like you have Lord Asriel with the snow leopard or
You did just say snow leopard.
snow leopard, yeah. But then you have like Father Corn. So you have Lord Asriel with like
Fodder. His name is like Fodder Coram.
Coram, thank you. Like Lord Asriel with the snow leopard, but then Father Coram, he has in the books that you kind of see it when they first walk in, but a large cat.
I didn't notice the cat at all.
Yeah, so when they're walking in, because you have Lord Far with his bird.
Lord Fa has his
bird that
his
flies
crow.
on and off. And then if you are watching as they walk in at their feet, you can see a large cat, like a large house cat that's walking along with them.
Okay.
So, like, one of the big problems that we've both seen online for this series so far is the lack of demons. And 100%
Only main
agree.
characters get.
If you didn't know what to look for,
You'd be like, okay, why?
yeah, you wouldn't really see. I was like, why do some special people have demons, but all of these servants that should have dog demons aren't?
Yeah, because that scene where they have like all the dogs or not all the dogs, all the servants in the kitchen or in the laundry room, all they had to do is have like some dogs and cats hanging around.
Yeah. Or like when Lyra runs up to the airship that Lord Asriel is there, you just have some dogs standing beside the people that are standing in the background.
Yeah.
Because you see Roger, his demon takes a form of dog.
Oh yeah, well that's because Roger's a main
But
character.
Roger is a main-ish character, but like background
Main
people.
side character.
Yeah, but like the background people, where are their demons?
Yeah.
It's it is upsetting, but it's not one of those make or break type things. It's just kind of well, I feel like you just ran out of time with this.
Yeah.
That being said,
And apparently, I don't know. Sorry, I was just gonna the fact that they've already filmed season 2 by now.
I don't think they filmed season 2.
I've read that they already have.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, that being said, I think this is more of a BBC show than an HBO show.
That's true.
So they don't have all the money in the world. They just have all the money in Britain.
They have more. They have more money than they did for the movie.
We hope so. But yeah, speaking of demons, I want to raise the question. So when the master is in the retiring room about to poison the wine, his crow demon,
Do it
now. Can you peer pressure yourself?
Yes.
Like, is that possible to peer pressure yourself? Like, is that considered peer pressure, or is that like the utmost form of peer pressure because you are your own?
Listen, I've seen people have conversations with themselves on Twitter. Yes, you can absolutely peer pressure yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
His crow is the more murderous side of him.
Crows are pretty ravenous.
Maybe.
Do you have a favorite Easter egg from this episode? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I didn't think of any. No.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I'm sorry too.
I'm gonna say that my favorite Easter egg is when the second time Lyra goes down into the crypt of Jordan College, and we have the scene that is kind of blocked off and framed with 3 skulls on a shelf, and I like that because to me that's direct comparison to when in the book when she goes and explores the crypts and the catacombs with Roger, and they switch the medallions that the demons of the scholars' names are put on.
Yeah.
And then she gets haunted. So she runs down and switches them back. But that's also...
I'm sorry.
But it's also why Lord Asriel just brings back Stannis Scrivener's head instead of like the whole body. It's because...
He was a part of the school.
He was a part of the school, and all they need is the head.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I liked that too.
Yeah, that was my favorite little Easter egg.
I did really like how that she had drawn on her wall the fact that like the wallpaper or the paint peeling back, it's like white, but the peeling underneath shows that there's blue underneath it, so it looks like ice
kind
on
of like
water.
The ice in the ocean and
she's got a white a polar bear drawn on there.
Panzerbjorn.
She doesn't necessarily have armor on it, so it's not really a Panzerbjorn. It's just a polar bear.
But still.
But yeah, I liked that. That was really
cool.
If that counts as an Easter egg, I liked that.
I think it does. It almost makes that weird like bird shadow thing scene worth it.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Because you've got a demon there who can shift into the shape of a bird.
He could be flying around.
Pan could be flying around with her, but no, they didn't have that. Not to be too nitpicky, but I enjoyed the episode.
Oh, I did too. Definitely.
I'm very excited to see what else they do and kind of how they break down the 3 sections of the book into 8 episodes.
True, yeah.
But I'm excited. I think we're going to be in London and heading north in the next episode. And
yeah, because the entire thing of Jordan is like done in one episode, and so I can see London being done in one episode too.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna be. I think the next one's gonna be a lot of fun, especially if we are able to start heading north soon, because there are some characters that I'm super excited to see.
Yeah.
But with that, I think it's about time to wrap up.
All right. If you guys enjoyed it and have your own things that you want to tell us, you can email us at ourdarkmaterialspod@gmail.com.
Ourdarkmaterialspod@gmail.com. Or
POD.
you can go to the website of ourdarkmaterials.com
Yes, we have a website.
You can leave comments on the episode. If you want to check out the YouTube channel, you can just search for Our Dark Materials on YouTube. Like and share those videos, or rate and review and subscribe on iTunes and all that stuff. 5 stars. You know the drill by now. It's 2019, soon to be 2020.
James wants to keep these episodes a little bit short, but I am going to offer that if you email us or comment on the video or on the website, I might read it out. If you give us, I'm going to steal the idea that if you give us a 5-star rating, you can say whatever the hell you want, and I will read it, but it must be a 5-star rating.
5 stars, say whatever the hell you want.
So.
We can make some time for that.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, see you in the north.
Oh, I like that. I was just going to say we need to have an ending, but I like that. See you in the north.
See you in the north.